The animated world is filled with princesses, from the fair and sweet, to the fun and colorful, to the strong-willed and brave. But hey, who says that princesses can only have their happily ever after at the House of Mouse?
I just want you to know, I think you're beautiful.
Today, we'll be giving the spotlight to princesses from cartoons and movies who aren't owned by Disney. Hey guys, I'm Brad with Wicked Binge, and this is non-Disney princesses, good to most good. Before we begin, we should set a couple of royal rules. To be counted as a princess, they must have the actual title of princess. We've all seen those lists of animated heroines where every character on there is called a princess, whether they are or not, and we want to avoid doing that. Furthermore, we'll only be choosing one princess per franchise, because let's face it, if we didn't do that, this list would be like 80% Adventure Time and She-Ra. Finally, we won't be counting any video game princesses, so no Peach or Zelda. With all that being said, let's begin. For this list, we'll be starting with our good but flawed princesses and working our way up to the most noble and morally perfect. Starting off, we have what is probably our most unconventional pick, Princess Dot Warner from Animaniacs. Now, to those of you who may be saying that Dot doesn't count, we will say that in the movie Wacko's Wish, it was shown that she and her brothers were indeed royalty, with their late parents being the former rulers of the Kingdom of Warnerstock. But even if she isn't shown running an actual kingdom, her attitude is still princess-like. Being an Animaniac, she can be wild and wacky, but also outgoing and even caring, especially towards her brothers. She's also confident, able to take the lead on adventures just as easily as her oldest brother Yakko, and in the reboot, we see her sing songs about subjects like the 19th Amendment and the First Ladies throughout history. Though she's anything but a traditional princess, we think we can squeeze her onto this list. Up next is the current ruler of Bright Moon, Princess Glimmer from She-Ra. At first, all Glimmer wanted was to fight in the war and show her mother, Queen Angela, what she could do. Throughout the series, we could see that Glimmer could be impulsive, stubborn, and short-tempered, easily getting angered when it seems like her friends don't trust her or when they argue. But while she is brash, Glimmer can be supportive, kind, and brave, always willing to fight alongside her friends and doing all she could to reunite the princesses of Bright Moon. Unfortunately, after losing her mother, Glimmer starts to become reckless and more stubborn, refusing to listen to her friends and deciding to use the heart of Etheria to fight the Horde. Eventually, Glimmer regrets her actions and does all she can to make things right and save her home, showing just how mature and responsible she's become by the end of the series. Next is Princess Bonnibel Bubblegum from Adventure Time. Bubblegum is the ruler of the Candy Kingdom, a kingdom she created over hundreds of years. As both the ruler and the smartest person in the Candy Kingdom, she does all she can to protect her people and puts their safety above everything else, although sometimes this means crossing some boundaries and resorting to spying on them. Her science experiments and her decisions can also be on the gray side, like when she created Goliad, a clone that would live forever and take care of the Candy Kingdom, or when she tried to lock up a baby flame princess to protect others from her unstable power. Unlike Finn, who has more of a moral code, PB is willing to do whatever it takes if it's for the greater good, and believes that responsibility demands sacrifice. One example of this was when Bubblegum became 13 years old. She was able to have fun as a kid for a short while, but then made the decision to return to her normal age, just so the Candy Kingdom wouldn't have to suffer over Lemongrab's rule. Despite her brief moments of being callous or overbearing, Bubblegum is still kind towards those she loves. And although she focuses on her work, her more tender moments with people like Finn, Marceline, and her brother Nettie show just how sweet this princess can be. Following her, we have Princess Anastasia from the movie of the same name. Anastasia, or Anya, is one of those lost princesses thanks to a healthy dose of movie amnesia.
If I don't remember who I am, then who's to say I'm not a princess?
Though she knows that she has a family, it takes her a while to learn about her status, meaning that she doesn't get very much time in the film to act as a princess. In fact, she gives up her title in the end, so she can marry a commoner. That's not to say that she doesn't help other characters in the film like Dimitri and Puka. She can be determined and willing to fight, even killing the film's villain, Rasputin, when she destroys his reliquary.
Das Vidanya!
She can be resourceful, as well as brave, energetic, and confident. Even if she isn't much of a princess, nor is she probably that accurate to the real-life Anastasia, she still makes for a great protagonist and role model for viewers to look up to. Up next is the ruler of Cloud Cuckoo Land, Princess Unikitty from the LEGO Movie and the Unikitty series. Unikitty is all about fun and happiness. Her only rule for her people seems to be no negativity. But as much as she may try to stop herself from feeling sad or angry, when it comes to her friends, she's willing to go all out with rage just to protect them and will do anything for them. She briefly becomes a battle kitty in the second LEGO Movie just to protect them from alien invaders. In her TV series, she's even more focused on keeping the citizens of the Unikingdom happy, even having special days where she listens to each person's problems and tries to help them. With someone as wacky and silly as Unikitty to be very responsible, she surprisingly does a good job, though sometimes she can go a little overboard when it comes to some things, like trying to befriend the villain, Master Frown, or trying to make her assistant Richard happy enough to make Sparkle matter. Still, we can't really fault her for being an enthusiastic leader. For Princess Poppy, the only thing she loves more than partying and pop music are her fellow trolls. At first, Poppy is less like a leader and more like everyone's best friend. She's happy-go-lucky, wants her people to be just as happy as her, and holds parties whenever possible to help accomplish this. She can also be very determined, willing to go through failure after failure to reach her goals. But that's not to say she's stubborn, since she learns lessons throughout both movies, allowing her to become a better leader. She's also friendly towards others, from the trolls in other kingdoms to Bergens like Bridget, who she ends up helping a lot. She just wants everyone to be happy and get along no matter who they are. As nice as all this is though, Poppy still has her flaws. Her tendency to always remain positive can blind her, causing her to make mistakes. It's also sometimes hard for her to see the point of view of others, making her come off as forceful and unwilling to listen. But like we said, Poppy's willing to learn from her mistakes, understanding that doing what's best for her fellow trolls and actually listening to them is more important than her own beliefs. It isn't easy having a dad like King Neptune, but Princess Mindy from the SpongeBob movie still manages to be one of the kindest people found under the sea. Unlike her father, who's quick to anger and more than happy to throw his subjects into the dungeon just for touching his crown, Mindy is more merciful and fair. She convinces Neptune to give SpongeBob a chance to clear Mr. Krabs' name, and then helps him along on his journey, from giving him and Patrick confidence through so-called mermaid magic and manly mustaches, to stalling Mr. Krabs' execution just to give SpongeBob extra time. Since we don't see her try to fight Plankton herself, we can guess that she doesn't have much in the way of power or authority. Still, given all that she tries to do for our favorite sea sponge, maybe there's some power to be found in just being nice and fair. Next is the Princess of Friendship, Princess Twilight Sparkle from My Little Pony. Twilight wasn't always a princess, instead preferring to isolate herself and focus on learning magic. But throughout the series, she not only learned how to be more sociable and form friendships, but she practically became an expert in it, turning several series antagonists like Sunset Shimmer, Tempest Shadow, and Starlight Glimmer into friends, and bringing peace to Ponyville and Equestria alike. Eventually, she becomes the sole ruler of Equestria, taking over for her mentors, Princess Celestia and Princess Luna. Though she saved her home several times from villains like Tierwreck and Discord, Twilight isn't perfect. Even after all her lessons, she still makes mistakes, like trying to steal the magic pearl from the hippogriffs, or being unwilling to give some ponies like Trixie a second chance. For a while, she tried to do everything herself, despite having friends who were more than willing to help her. In the end though, her lessons did set in, and she became one of Equestria's most noteworthy heroes. From the Kingdom of Equestria to the Northern Water Tribe, we have Princess Yue from Avatar. Now, we understand that there's a certain Fire Nation princess who may be more well known than Yue, but since we're focusing on good princesses, we wanted to give Yue some spotlight. On the surface, Yue is kind, polite, and beautiful, making it easy for Sokka to fall for her. Though she may at first seem like a princess who's on the shallow side, Yue, for the brief time that she's alive, is strong and brave. As a baby, she was saved by the Moon Spirit, and when Zhao then killed the Moon Spirit, she decided that it was only right to return the favor and sacrifice herself. Through her selfless actions, Yue not only saved the people of the Water Tribe, but brought balance back to the world. As a new moon spirit, she helps control the waves of the sea and brings power to the waterbenders. Up next is the alien princess and Teen Titan, Princess Coriander, or Starfire, of Tamaran. Though she's able to be fierce and destructive in combat, Starfire is probably the nicest Teen Titan, with the thing she values most being her friendship with her teammates. As such, she's very sociable, willing to meditate with Raven or hang out with Cyborg and Beast Boy, and willing to be friends with total strangers like Terra and Red Star. Always cheerful, she does whatever she can to make her friends happy, as well as protect them during fights. She can also be very trusting, refusing to believe that Robin has turned against them by choice after he's taken as Slade's apprentice. As a princess, Starfire puts her people before herself. She was willing to return to her home planet and marry a man she never met in order to protect her people from a war. Even after she defeats her sister Blackfire and calls off the wedding, she decides not to rule and instead gives the title of king to her guardian Galfor. She doesn't do this to get out of responsibilities, but because she believes that she is unfit for the job, and someone as strong and wise as Galfor would be a better leader instead. Though more hero than princess, Starfire's good and noble qualities shine through as brightly as her starbolts. As we move on to our top 2, we knew we couldn't make this list without mentioning the ogre princess, Princess Fiona from Shrek. Out of all the non-Disney princesses, Fiona is one of, if not the, most famous. Originally, all she wanted was a happy ever after, and was more than a little annoyed when she realized her hero was, well, not your standard knight in shining armor. She and Shrek bickered for a while, but after seeing that he was more than just a brutish ogre, Fiona made the effort to be more kind and polite towards him. She was more than just a damsel in distress, fighting off Robin Hood and his merry men to protect Shrek. Although she loses points for not being honest with Shrek, he wasn't exactly the most honest with her either, so we can cut her a bit of slack. Throughout the rest of the series, we see Fiona be supportive and determined, valuing her love with her husband above all else, and being just as willing to fight for it as Shrek is. But that doesn't mean she isn't afraid to stand up to Shrek when he crosses a line. As a princess, she also cares about her kingdom. A big example of this is when she, her mother, and the other princesses fought for Far, Far Away when Prince Charming tried to take it over in the 3rd movie. But it's in Shrek Forever After where we finally get to see her skills as a leader, when we see her commanding an army of rebel ogres against the evil Rumpelstiltskin. Being strong and brave, as well as loving and kind, Fiona is an amazing princess. But as great as she is, there's still one other princess who's just a little bit more noble. Getting our gold medal of goodness, we have Princess Diana of Themyscira, also known as Wonder Woman, from DC Superhero Girls. We know that there's several incarnations of Wonder Woman, including a few animated ones. However, we felt that the DC Superhero Girls version was the best example to use for this list, with this version showing her both as a hero in training and a princess who can lead her team to victory. When we first meet her, we learn that Diana only became a hero for noble reasons, to help the world of man. She did have to sneak out and run away from home to do this, but she's a teenager, so no real surprise there. Diana quickly established herself as the team's leader, and though she struggles to understand the other girls, given how much of an outsider she was, she still does her best to inspire them and give advice instead of just giving orders. She encourages Bumblebee to be more confident, Batgirl to be more focused, and Supergirl to fight smarter and not harder. When it comes to being both a hero and a student at Metropolis High, she works hard in both sides of her life to be successful and honorable. She also tries to be polite, even when people like Harleen frustrate her, and will always try to save people who are in danger. This extends to villains too, with Diana arguing with Tatsu, aka Katana, that even criminals don't deserve to have their soul stolen. She's kind, courageous, honest, and just a bit adorable, especially when she's around her crush, Steve Trevor. All these qualities come together to not only make a great hero, but a near-perfect princess. Alright guys, what do you think? Did we miss any non-Disney princesses? Let us know. Be sure to hit that notification bell and binge our Good to Evil playlist. But most importantly, stay wicked.